this whole insane election, candidates have been accusing one another of not having the experience to lead, but you can't argue with this resume, okay? So please welcome former Secretary of State, Senator from New York, First Lady of the United States, lawyer, mom, and grandma. We're thrilled to welcome Hillary Clinton.
This is my song. Take back my life song. Take back
You're back in New York, you're campaigning, a state that you were a senator in for 8 years, you live here. How is it being back?
It is so great, I have to tell you. I love it. You know, obviously I've had the great privilege of representing this state for 8 years, as you know. And we live here. We've lived here ever since we left the White House at the end of Bill's 2 terms. And I just feel so happy when I'm in New York.
Yeah.
I just, you know, and now that I've been traveling around the state, going upstate again, I was in Albany yesterday. I see so many of my friends and supporters and people that I've worked with. It's just the most rewarding feeling. And so nothing beats it for me. I love being here.
How has this run been different for you since the 2008 run against President Obama? What did you learn that you're now doing this time around?
It's a great question. You know, look, I learned a lot. And one thing, it's to try to really be as focused as possible about what I've done and what I will do and why I think I can get things done. I think there are 3 big tests anybody running for president has to meet. Number 1, can you actually produce results for people? Not just talk about it, but deliver results. Secondly, can you keep us safe? And to me, that's the biggest of all the commander-in-chief's responsibilities. And then third, how do you bring us together? Because I don't like all this divisiveness. I think it's absolutely appropriate for people to have different political opinions. That's what makes us America. But the mean-spiritedness, the hate rhetoric, the incitement of violence, all of that, I think, is really dangerous. So I'm going to keep trying to unify people the best I can.
Well, you know, we were talking about sexism just before you came out. Yeah, we were. Yeah. And, you know, because we all, as women, experience it somewhere or another. But women seem to be under fire right now, more than ever. You know, you had Heidi Cruz, the wives of candidates being attacked about their looks. You had a female reporter being assaulted. You have Donald Trump saying things like women who have abortions should be punished. I mean, it's frightening. It's frightening. What do you think will happen to women if a Republican gets in there, if Trump wins, God forbid?
Well, let's make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah,
number one.
What's going to happen to us?
Well, I think for me, the way he's conducted his campaign, the things he said, and he has insulted everybody, and he has demeaned everybody. You know, he started on his very first day saying that all Mexican immigrants were rapists and criminals, right? And then he moved on to attack people with disabilities. He attacked John McCain, who's a friend of mine, and said he wasn't really a war hero.
Because he was captured.
Yeah, because, I mean, he was a POW for years, and he was so brave. And then, of course, going after American Muslims and really drawing these lines. And his attitude about and what he has said about so many women, the way he treated Megyn Kelly, who is a superb journalist.
Yes, she is.
Right?
Yeah.
I just don't understand what he thinks is the role of somebody running for president. I don't think it is to scapegoat people, divide people, engage in this kind of, prejudice and paranoia. And so it's not only women and we who should be concerned, it's everybody because of the way that he conducts himself. Reject it.
But he has a lot of fans. I'm going to follow up. He has a lot of fans. I mean, he has many people who are following him. Why?
Well, he does have a lot of people who are voting in the Republican primary, but to put it into broader perspective, I have more votes than he does. I have 1 million more votes. You know, I don't think the vast majority of Americans, let's hope, want to reward that kind of behavior and that sort of really hateful rhetoric.
Yeah. Speaking of voting and momentum, I know your main challenger right now, Bernie Sanders, has won 5 of the last 6 primaries. You have a big primary in Wisconsin. What do you think he's tapping into that you aren't? And it seems like you guys are kind of getting under one another's skin right now, debating about debating.
Well, we're going to have a debate.
Yes,
I'm glad
April
that's
14th.
finally settled. We're going to have a debate right here in New York. I'm very proud of the campaign that Senator Sanders and I have run because we've run it on issues compared to insults. We've really tried to stay on issues and where we stand and what we would do. But we do have contrasts. I have a big contrast with him on guns. I am just adamant that we're going to take on the gun lobby and we're going to do everything we can to make America safer. And you know, so I think that's a legitimate issue contrast. And I'm really excited that he's attracted so many people, particularly young people, into this contest. And again, you have to look at the broader perspective. We've won some, he's won some, but I have 2.5 million more votes than he does. And I have a very significant lead in delegates, which is what eventually decides who the nominee is. But I'm thrilled that we've run a campaign. And yes, we're going to be critical. Our supporters are going to be critical because we both have records, we both have agendas. But on balance, I think it's been a campaign that's been good for the Democratic Party and good for the country. And I'm very proud of that.
You know, Hillary, I can call you Hillary?
Yeah, call me Hillary.
I notice people say Hillary instead of Secretary Clinton. I wonder if that's disrespectful.
Oh, no, I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't
well, you know, I know you a long time now. One time I was doing a gig somewhere, and you were running for the Senate, and you came on ahead of me, and you said to them, "I'm the opening act for Joy Behar."
That's right.
Which I thought was so cute. But I know you, and I find you so warm and lovely, and authentic. And yet there are people out there who have this idea that you're not trustworthy, that they don't like you for some reason. What is that about, in your opinion?
You know, Joy, obviously I've thought a lot about it because I don't like to hear it, so I need to figure out what's behind it. And, you know, I think some of it is that, you know, I am perhaps a more serious person, a more reserved person than is kind of in the public arena these days. And so I think there's a bit of a disconnect between the kind of way I conduct myself, that way I was raised, frankly, to conduct myself, and kind of what goes on in the world today. So I think people then say, well, you know, she's serious, she's reserved. Can I really like her?
But what is inauthentic? What's inauthentic mean?
I don't understand that. I don't understand that. Because I've been pretty much the same person my entire life, for better or worse, right? And I have a lot of wonderful... I have a lot of wonderful friends. And when I started running here in New York back in '99, people said exactly the same thing. And, you know, my attitude is, if you're going to be in public life, you have to have a thick skin. So I have developed a thick skin. And anybody who's interested, I have great creams for it because it does get really, really, so, you know, leathery from time to time. But then, you know, so I ran and I talked about what I wanted to do. Here, and to me, that's what you're supposed to be making your mind up about when you have somebody asking for your vote, asking you to hire them for a job. So I won, and then I served this wonderful state for 6 years, and then I won by an even bigger percentage. Then I ran a tough campaign against then Senator Obama. He won, I lost, and then he turned around. He trusted me enough to ask me to be his Secretary of State.
I want to talk more about that when we come back. We'll be right back with Hillary Clinton.
Clinton. And Secretary, I want to ask you about some comments that you made over the weekend on Meet the Press regarding abortion. You said, quote, the unborn person doesn't have constitutional rights. And my question is, at what point does someone have constitutional rights? And are you saying that a child on its due date, just hours before delivery, still has no constitutional rights?
Under our law, that is the case, Paula. I support Roe v. Wade because I think it is an important statement about the importance of a woman making this most difficult decision with consultation by whom she chooses, her doctor, her faith, her family. And under the law, and under certainly that decision, that is the way we structure it. I would just make 2 points. You know, because I've traveled to so many countries, it's hard to understand the impact that a government can have when it tries to substitute its judgment for the individual woman. So in China, for many years, you had forced abortion, you had forced sterilization, which I abhor. But also in some countries, Romania being the best example, women were ordered to bear 5 children.
Right.
And were actually followed by police, secret police, to make sure that they did. And many children ended up in orphanages, which I visited as First Lady. So my view is that under the law, under Roe v. Wade, the appropriate way to handle this is to give that authority to women. And, you know, from my perspective, it is... It's something, you know, when I was First Lady, I started the campaign to, you know, take on the problem of teenage pregnancy. And we worked really hard. And I'm very proud that in our country now, teenage pregnancy has dropped considerably. And
do you think
it's important to be able to give that choice. But I have no problem with people making the case, look, here's the best choice, or here's a better choice. But when the government gets involved, or when you say it's illegal and women and doctors are criminals, that's way too far
So do you believe you can be pro-life and a feminist?
Yes, I do. Absolutely.
They're not mutually exclusive.
No, absolutely. Look, I've been, and I'm sure that, you know, Whoopi and Joy have been, we've been in these conversations now for, what, 40 plus years,
40 years,
right?
yeah.
And I respect the opinions and beliefs of every woman. The reason why being pro-choice is the right way to go is because it is a choice, and hopefully a choice that is rooted in the thoughtfulness and the care that women bring to this decision. So of course you can be a feminist and be pro-life.
As someone who is an undecided evangelical voter and someone who believes that our Judeo-Christian values are under attack or they're declining, what can you say to me? What can you say to the people out there like me that why I might consider voting for you?
Well, first of all, I'm a Christian. And I take my faith very seriously. It has gotten me through some difficult times in the course of my life. And I jokingly have said, somebody asked me years ago, are you a praying person? And I said, well, you know, a week in the White House would turn anybody into a praying person. So luckily I was one before I got there. And I think we have to show great respect and support for religious freedom and religious liberty. It's one of the tenets on which our country is based, and I've seen the results in many places in the world where that is not the case. And I think there is a terrible effort underway, led by ISIS, to decimate the ancient Christian communities in Iraq and Syria, and I've spoken out against that, and I've said that some of their policies against Christians, against Yazidis, who are a Muslim sect, amount to genocide. So I want to defend people's right to have their religion, and I, of course, will always support and defend, you know, my faith, but I will not impose it on anyone else, and I will not ask the government to create conditions where that happens.
Let's talk Supreme Court a little bit. You've called up the Republicans for trying to block President Obama's nomination of Judge Merrick Garland. What is the problem? The guy is incredibly qualified for this. Does it really just come down to my way or the highway?
I think it does. I think it does. And I really regret this because there are some things that really should be beyond partisan politics, and appointing a successor for the Supreme Court is one of those, in my opinion. And when the Republicans first in the Senate said, look, we don't have enough time, well, that's just not the case.
Right.
We have plenty of time. And then they said, well, maybe it should wait for the next president. We have one president at a time. And that president, under our Constitution, has an obligation to propose a nominee. So I think there's growing pressure on a lot of the Republicans who are running for re-election.
Right.
And I think there should be, because I know a number of them. You know, obviously I support their Democrat opponent, but I have a regard and a real, concern for what they're doing, because I know some of them don't believe in this. They view it as a bridge too far. So I hope that common sense can prevail and we can get about doing the business of our country, and that includes appointing, you know what, they don't have to vote to confirm him. That's their right. I voted.
Hold the vote.
You hold the vote. Go through the process, have the hearings, be fair. If you still decide for whatever reason, but have a reason, you can make that decision. But at least show respect for the Constitution.
Let me ask you real quick. I know about the email scandal. The FBI and Justice Department prosecutors are reportedly gearing up to interview you and some of your closest aides. Do you think that this is a big reason why there's a large contingent of people out there that don't feel that you're trustworthy, is because of the email scandal? And will you ever put it behind you?
Oh, I'm sure I will, because there's nothing to it. So I am going to be very, very open, as I have been since last summer. I think last August, I've said, anytime you want to talk to me, here I am, but nothing inappropriate was done. Look, I said it was not the best decision, obviously. It's caused a great deal of
But you're not the only one that did that.
I know that. But, there is a double standard in lots of ways, not just in, what you were talking about at the beginning of the show.
But here's my question to this, because didn't anyone notice that the server they were getting emails from was not what was supposed to be legal? How come nobody noticed it until you started running for president?
Well, everybody noticed it because.
But why didn't they do anything?
Well, because there was nothing prohibiting it. It was permitted to use personal email, and so
Colin Powell used it.
Yeah.
Condoleezza Rice used it.
But my question is, this is something, you're going to get all kinds of stuff thrown at you.
You think so?
You're responsible for everything, just about everything that's happened in the last 20 years. It's your fault.
True.
So just know that. But what? Okay, look, we're going to go. We'll come back with more Hillary Clinton. I started to say they're going to throw all kinds of stuff at you. They're going to call you all kinds of names. But one of the names that I know that doesn't bother you is Grandma.
Oh, that's a best name.
It's a great name, isn't it?
It's a great name.
It's a great.
Yes.
So people say, well, you can't have a grandma. Well, we've had grandfathers in the White House many times, so that doesn't apply. Right. But what about being a grandma?
I'll tell you what, it is the most amazing experience for all of you who have had this opportunity. It is so great. And all my friends who got there before I did told me, you're not going to believe what it's like. And I said, oh, that's nice, yeah. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I was happy for them. And then it happens to you.
Yeah.
It is like falling in love all over again. It is the best experience. And of course, when you have the most amazing, extraordinary 18-month-old granddaughter.
Of course, brilliant.
That brilliant,
Charlotte.
beyond words, everything like
and
that.
Beautiful.
And you have another one on the way as well, but I
summer,
understand that you basically arrange your entire campaign schedule around babysitting for baby Charlotte now.
For seeing Charlotte.
Yeah.
That's exactly right, Paula. I mean, I get sort of separation anxiety if I don't get to see her. Now, FaceTime was invented for grandparents.
Yes.
So, and that has been such a gift, because I can be anywhere and, FaceTime her, see her eating her lunch or, racing around. So I try to stay in touch, and it's so exciting because she calls me Grandma, and she just, I don't know how she got that. She calls me Grandma, she calls Bill Pop. And so if one of us is on FaceTime, is that right? Well, that's what Chelsea called my father. So if one of us is on FaceTime and she'll go, Grandma, And then she'll go, pop, pop. Or if he's on FaceTime, she'll go, pop, pop, Grandma. She sees us coming as a match set, right?
Yes, yes.
Well, wait,
It's
speaking
been
of
so
match
great.
sets, we have a little gift
Oh.
for both the grandbaby.
Oh, Candace, that is adorable. Oh my God.
They're adorable.
That's so
I
cute.
love that. That is so adorable. Yeah, so it's the best. You know, it's
I do
better
know.
than anything.
And
Yeah.
you don't mind changing a diaper, you or Bill?
I haven't had to change too many of them.
Okay.
Yeah, but I don't mind. I don't mind that. And, you know, giving her a bath, all those things that are part of taking care of somebody you love is just, for me, the best experience ever.
So when you win,
Okay.
what's Bill going to be called? The first husband, and first grandpa, first pop? What's he going to be called?
Well, I mean, we really should run kind of a contest because some people have said, obviously, first gentleman. That kind of fits.
Yeah.
Others have said first mate, which I thought was kind of.
I like that.
Sounds like
Others
a boat.
have said first dude.
First dude.
So
That's
we'll.
what I would call.
Yeah.
First dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
And how much influence do you think he'll have in the administration?
I think I hope he'll have a lot of involvement in, you know, starting the economy to really take off. I don't think President Obama gets the credit he deserves for
That's true.
rescuing us from a terrible economic crisis. But now, you know, we need more jobs with rising incomes. A lot of the people who are angry, we were talking earlier about who goes to these rallies, they're people who feel really disappointed. They are people who feel frustrated and fearful. They are afraid of, you know, the fact that they don't have the kind of job that they thought they would have, or their kids are not going to do better. So we need more jobs with rising incomes. I think we can do that with more infrastructure jobs, more manufacturing jobs, and we can combat climate change with more clean, renewable energy jobs. And we can also make sure women get equal pay for the work we do.
And who the secretary is off the campaign trail. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, what's your favorite binge watch?
Okay, I really love the following, besides The View, of course. I love Madam Secretary. I love The Good Wife. I like NCIS, all varieties.
I thought we were just going to get one.
I like
Wow.
Castle. And I have not yet seen the last season for Downton Abbey.
Downton Abbey, it's good.
I'm
Okay.
working on Downton Abbey.
How about
Also, look, Scandal, Grey's Anatomy. I have a big repertoire of what I like.
Top three songs on your playlist besides Fight Song. We know that's on there.
Oh, you know Fight Song is on there. Look, I love Katy Perry, Nearly Everything. I love Demi Lovato, Nearly Everything. I think she's an amazing talent. And I love Adele, absolutely.
Everyone loves Adele.
Okay, do you have a celebrity crush?
Do I have a celebrity crush? Well, I do have a number of them.
Well, I just asked for one. We're going to get a couple?
We're going to get a couple. Who doesn't like George Clooney in whatever he does?
I knew you would say that.
I mean, he and his amazing wife, Amal, are doing an event for me.
Yeah.
I am so excited. This is the best thing ever to have George Clooney do this event for me. So I'll stop there, but he's a pretty big figure in my celebrity crush list.
We want you to feel like you're on the campaign trail right now.
Okay.
So we're going to do something that you get asked a lot on the campaign trail, and that is to take a selfie. I'm borrowing Joy's phone.
Yes.
So can we pose for a selfie real quick?
Absolutely. Can you
Come
get
on,
us all
Whitney,
in?
get in?
Oh, you're good.
Oh, hey. What did I do to your phone? Okay, Whoopi, where are you?
Easy.
1,
Easy
2,
peasy, come
3,
on.
1, 2. Let me take
You
one more.
liked it.
Oh, I just flipped it. It's on
There it is.
square. Okay, here we go.
So while they're trying to figure out how to take the selfie, we're going to say thanks to Hillary Clinton.
Oh, my God.
Whatever you decide, make sure you get out and vote. Whatever your decision is, make sure you think it out, you get out there, get the right person for the job in this position, and we'll be right back.